And we're back.
Welcome back to Beyond the Signs podcast.
I'm your co-host, Omar Hamouda.
And I'm your fellow co-host, 𝐅𝐎𝐋𝐋𝐿𝐼.
And today we'll be talking about traveling for a gig.
Really important topic.
Yeah. And I think when I brought this topic up to you, I was talking about more of like how you travel, what the necessities are that you bring, the gear, the what's it called?
The
sort
form of transportation.
All that stuff. So
Yeah.
I wanted to like maybe break down as like based on experience and like what I think would be beneficial to bring on a gig, right? On a traveling gig, of course. If it's something like near home, like I'm not talking about like the 50 miles and under. I'm talking about the ones that you actually have to, you're forced to stay there a couple of nights, you know?
Yeah, either that or just a long drive there and back.
Right. Well,
the day.
that's one form of transportation is car.
Right.
Let's say for example you're traveling to the other side of the world, right? What do you bring?
It's a huge jump. Wow, yeah.
But
break it down for us,
so
since you travel so much for work and you have so much experience with bringing your gear in airports and different things like that. I don't have as much experience with that, so I'd love to hear your perspective on those type of
primarily like one, you assess the project, right? Mm-hmm. Figuring out what you need. I realized that the best things to do when it comes to gear wise, right? And we'll get to clothes later on, right? Because I feel like people pack way too much for clothes, right?
Guilty.
So when it comes to gear, I think the main thing that you need to grab, well, of course, is your camera. But like, let's say, for example, you're someone who has like 5 different bodies. I would only bring 2, right?
Right.
I wouldn't bring more than that, right? But I would bring more lenses, primarily zoom lenses, right? I wouldn't try to like carry all my prime lenses, even though those are like really nice for like, let's say for video wise, right? But like the less is more. And with zoom, you have the options to actually keep going, right? Mm-hmm. But the one thing I will say is make sure to bring plenty of SD cards. Mm-hmm. At least 2 external hard drives, one that you mainly work off of and the other one is purely for storing, right? Because one, you
taught me that. It's very important.
You need one to work off of, but you need one to back up everything on, so that way at least you have copies of everything and you can still shoot for the the remainder of it, right? And like grab as much accessories as you can. The ones that you're able to fit in, of course. Like for example, like these small lights that they usually have. I think LumaCube has, Aperture has like these small lights.
Very, very useful.
The other thing, make sure to at least bring like one mic. Like for example, like the ones that like Rode mic has it, where like you literally put it on top of the camera just so that you get better sound quality. Mm-hmm. You don't have to carry everything, but like, let's say the gig is a documentary. Of course, I would bring like a sound
or a vlog or anything like that. Yeah.
I'd bring like an interface with my laptop, which is like the perfect thing is the Zoom HA, which is literally the Zoom HAN.
Different than that.
No, it's the same one that we use.
Isn't that the Zoom H8?
8N. I think it starts with ends with an N.
Oh,
but it's great to do so many different things. But like it's very small and compact, and you can.
It's literally what we use to record our podcast. By the way, so it can also do that.
Yeah. So like primarily, like that's what I would bring, and make sure to bring it on the side. Honestly, when I travel, I don't bring any stabilizers with me.
Really?
And the reason being...
Even if you're doing a video project?
Even if I'm doing a video project, dependent on what it is. If I'm doing like cars and stuff, of course I need to. If I'm doing a running shot, of course I need to.
Right.
Because like I'm not going to get... But like primarily the reason being is that one, it's extra space that I could have used for something else. 2, the fact that I'm going to use it out there and like make sure that I have to remind myself. What you're trying to do is minimize the amount of things that you need, but also make sure that if you need something in case, is you have that backup, right? Mm-hmm. For me, like, yeah, like I won't use a stabilizer, but I'll make sure to have a Gorilla Pod with me. just so that I can like
Yeah.
use it as
I
a
get what you're
tripod, because I like sometimes I use my stabilizer as a tripod, right? But like I can do the same thing with the Gorilla Pod, right? Now, that's with the gear stuff. Clothes wise, keep in mind how many days are you gonna go there is how many like outfits you're gonna bring. For me, if I'm going on a 3-day trip, all I need is really 2 outfits, right? One where like I don't know if this sounds disgusting, but I've seen people do it, and I do it myself, where like I wear out jean at least for 3 days.
Well, also, being a guy, that definitely makes a difference. No?
Right. No, absolutely.
Because as a girl, I feel like it's definitely, first of all, we need more products in general. We need more items and things.
I didn't get to the toiletry bag. I have.
Well, you personally, yes, toiletries. Yeah. You got a lot of them.
Yeah.
No, yeah. One thing I would say, especially for equipment, like you said before, bringing your most versatile lens, the lens that can do as much as possible, compacted into one. You know what I mean? So instead of bringing, like, say I have a 35 millimeter lens and I have a 50 prime, and I also have a 24-70, right? I'm just going to bring the 24-70.
Exactly, because it can do 35 and 50.
Exactly.
Just not at the same time, but different times, but like
right.
You can just make time for it.
And with that, I would, say a way to create more versatility in the 1 or 2 lenses that you bring is I experiment with filters a lot. So obviously I'll always have High-Rose R filter on when I shoot. But as well as
shamelessly plugging in the filter.
Shamelessly plugging. As well as obviously a UV filter, but in ways that I can get more creative with it while only having, say, 1 lens would be to have, say, a kaleidoscope filter or a star filter, like something to just get the creative juices flowing, even though I don't use it the whole time. Something to just make it pop a little bit, make it a little different, make it something, outside of the norm of what I usually do, get those creative juices flowing, and then obviously do what you have to do for that project.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So like,
and you never know what you're going to need.
Yeah. With gear, like you can pack the least, but pack the most accessories. Cause I feel like accessories is where like,
that's what I was trying to say, I think.
Yeah.
I pack 1 lens, but I'd pack 2 or 3 filters. You know what I mean? So you can still have that versatility, still have that flexibility, but you're packing minimal equipment.
Exactly, because the accessories don't take that much space.
No.
But what takes most space is the actual gear, but like you can minimize it. Now going back to the clothes, right, is that I make sure to at least have 2 outfits, where like one, like depending on how the day is, because like one, you're traveling with the clothes that you're traveling with, so that's part of your thing.
Right.
You can always wash like when you're there. It's like,
depending.
Like there's always laundromats everywhere.
This is true.
So like to me, like I don't need to pack up my whole wardrobe. Main mistake I made was when I went to Rome and got everything stolen.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So I know crazy. Now, like to remember is to pack, because here's the thing, because traveling, you also have to understand like there is safety factors that follow it too. So like for example, like I use this great like duffel bag / book bag called the Wander bag, which is I think it's called the Wander 𝐅𝐻𝐋𝐿 duffel bag, where it's basically literally an all-in-one like duffel bag / book bag, where literally I can fit like probably a week or a week and a half worth of like clothes, plus my gear, plus my laptop, plus my tablet, and like you name it, like I was able to like travel with it, and it's always on my back. So even if like I don't feel comfortable leaving it in the car, leaving it at the hotel,
that's important.
I can always bring it with me. Mm-hmm. So one, it's slightly heavy, but also too, like at least that like I'm comfortable knowing that everything is with me, right?
That's another topic that we can talk about in a different episode, is what we personally would carry or put in our camera bags for a traveling gig, or for a gig in general. What goes in our camera bags? What kind of camera bags do we use? Why do we use those specific camera bags?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like that all, makes a difference. Obviously, you want to have the right the right equipment or the right bag to hold all of your equipment and to keep all of your gear safe, because like you've experienced, it's easy sometimes to have those things stolen or lost or anything of the sort.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to traveling for a gig is and I've noticed this, especially when you're in front of a client, and especially if you're like, let's say the client has booked you the hotel to stay at, and I've had times where I actually roomed with the client or had them like host me at their house. Make sure you don't talk about anything outside of the gig itself, because I've realized that like sometimes like conversations will go every which way, and you never know. And maybe something that like for example, like I remember talking about like how I plan their project, right? There was one thing that they didn't like, which was, I was just gonna wing it, and that like threw them off. And like the next day it was like, all right, like
which, by the way, in that episode I pointed out, well, I don't know if I think that's the response that you would expect from saying, oh, I'll just wing it. And you were like, well, I didn't actually say that. And in my head, I'm thinking, knowing you probably said something along those lines
of like, what I'm saying is like I'm paraphrasing, like wing it, right?
Yes.
Like I didn't exactly say wing.
Right.
Like,
but you talked about it in a looser term of not really having everything planned out. Like say you would for a more professional gig with like a company,
because you're with them
specific.
You're with them throughout the whole trip. It's like it's bound to come out one point or another.
Yeah.
So it's like, try to like as much as possible, like I'm not saying withhold information, but I'm just saying like
keep it professional.
Exactly.
Always in every scenario when you're working with clients, especially clients.
And another
that you
thing
don't
is
know.
like another thing, there is a time to have fun, but like let's say that fun happens after you finish the job, not before it.
Yes.
I've been on a travel gig where the first 2 days was all fun and games, and literally we wasted the entire travel trip that we had to like shoot last minute, and literally I can tell that the client was not happy whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like they were
That makes a
furious.
huge difference.
Oh yeah.
Because when you're not, that deters your focus. That takes away from what you're there to do and why you're there in the first place.
Absolutely.
I think another really important thing to obviously take into consideration is how you're traveling, what method or form of transportation you're using. Personally, pre-pandemic especially, I was commuting into the city from New Jersey at least once a week, right? That's a 2-hour train ride. And other than that, it's either, walking transportation, the subway or Ubers or anything like that. You're still carrying all of your gear with you. So that was the first scenario where I really had to be mindful of what I decided to bring with me and what I didn't. And at the very start of doing that pretty often, I definitely brought too much stuff. I brought too many lenses that I didn't use. I know myself. I know that I usually, for portrait shoots, especially individual portrait shoots, only use a 24-70 lens. But I'd still bring my 50 prime. I'd still bring like other things that just were not necessary and that I would never use. It's kind of all about trial and error as well. Because since after I started getting, more used to that commute, I started realizing, okay, I'm not going to bring 2 lenses. I'm just going to bring a flash instead. I don't need a tripod. I don't need a microphone. I'm not shooting video this project. I'm not shooting whatever. And you kind of, learn as you go. Definitely.
No, absolutely. And like to bring to the point of like minimizing the amount of equipment you bring with you, think of it as like it's always a challenge, because like I'm not saying like this is the best way, but like this is a way that I've realized that works for me. Mm-hmm. And like keep in mind, sometimes I don't even use most of the equipment. So, and like that's also another important thing when it comes to traveling. Don't feel like because you brought it, you need to use it.
You have to use it. That's important.
Yeah, because I feel like so many times, like I remember the last travel gig I did was probably a month ago when I shot the music video in Virginia. I wasn't going to use the light, like the lights, right? And because like everything was well lit, like nothing like was too bad.
Right.
And I remember it was like, oh, you brought the light. Like I remember he was saying, oh, you brought the light, you have to use it. I'm like, I don't have to use it.
Most of that music video was shot during the daytime, right?
I will admit we ended up needing to use it, but it was towards the end, not towards the beginning. I was like, there's really no point of me using it because like, you know what I mean? So like, I guess because you have the amount of like, if you have the amount of gears that like a lot of people do, don't feel the need that you need to actually use it because it's a cool gadget, right? I would say work with whatever makes you comfortable and making sure that you execute it properly.
Yes.
And then when you have time, experiment,
right.
You know?
When you have time, that's the key word. That's the key phrase there because when you're on a job like that, you want to be efficient and I guess intentional with your time.
And you know what's really funny? I have it and I try not to use it as often as like everyone wants it is drones.
Interesting. Wait, that's a whole topic. First of all, drone photography and drone, filmmaking, videography, whatever. That's a whole nother topic. But
like
what was
to that point is that
yes,
I actually don't like using it too much.
Okay.
One, I feel it's overused. Secondly, most of like I'll admit in Virginia, it was a necessity. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely, so I agree with you for that video. Yes.
Yeah, because of like where we were, right? Mm-hmm. But if I'm in the middle of like, let's just say, a stinky dinky like town.
I was gonna say New Jersey.
No, but I'm not saying, no, New Jersey has some nice areas, right?
Of course it does.
But I'm in a stinky dinky town, right?
Yeah.
Where like literally the main attraction is like the subway. Right. Like the Subway sandwich. I'm not gonna take the effort to pull up the drone and take that shot. There's no need for it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I feel like just because people have it, they're like, oh, I need to use it, you know? One, it takes too much space. Secondly, most people who own a drone don't even know how to fly it properly.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Like I have my drone license, I don't even know how to fly it properly because of the amount of time
I think you do.
I do, but I don't.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
I feel like it's all trial and error because if I ever got a drone, I wouldn't know how to use it until I tried.
Exactly. No, it's like you have to keep using it, right? But the problem is it's because
if you don't want to do it, you overdo it, you're not going to use it as often.
Exactly.
Right.
So like I only use it at certain conditions, like the amount of weddings that they hired me for just to do drones, and literally like you have the manor right here, but you have the busiest highway and literally you see power lines everywhere. I'm like, did you really want to see power lines in your wedding video and like a busy highway and the horse taking a shit? I'll never forget. I actually took a video of a horse taking a shit on camera and they got pissed. I'm like, hey, you told me to fly the drone because the only usable shot was him on the horse running and the horse taking a shit.
Oh, so it had to do with horses anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not purposely
That's
taking.
So funny.
No. It sounds bad when I say it, but like it's literally him like galloping onto the street, going into the entrance of the manor, and literally the horse taking a shit. God. And it's the only usable shot. But you know what I mean? Like, going back to the topic of travel photography, right. Is that I try not to like carry it with me all the time. Right. Unless if I know I'm going to an exotic place that absolutely needs.
Or whether the project itself that was put in the initial planning stages that, the client wants drone shots of this, that, and the third, if it's doable in that environment and the place that you're shooting in. For Virginia, I would definitely say it was beautiful and necessary for that reason.
Oh, absolutely.
And, if you're going somewhere like a lot of cities, and it also depends, obviously, especially with drone photography, where you're allowed to fly, different things like that. So,
airports.
you can't
fly in airports.
Definitely not. keeping the gear at a minimum and realizing what you need when you need it and what you don't need is very important in working efficiently, because you can get a lot done with minimal equipment. Yeah. Always.
And I think I want to end this topic by challenging everyone out there is that the next time you travel, make sure to grab as minimal equipment as you can and make the most out of it. All I'm going to say is 5 major equipments and 10 accessories. But that's about it.
Wonderful challenge.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to
I'm going to do it myself. I'm actually traveling.
Wonderful. So, yeah. Okay, we'll do it with y'all. So,
So that way I come back and say, hey, I did the challenge. Did you?
Absolutely.
And with that being said, thank you for watching. If you like this episode, please subscribe down there. Also, hit the bell notifications to know when we do post. Our social media proofs are up here: Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook. And yeah, make sure to follow us.
Yeah.
Do they follow us, by the way?
I don't think they do. You should definitely go follow us.
Go subscribe.
Absolutely. Maybe comment something down below. Comment what you guys want to see from us next. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, just to let us know like what topics we could cover. Because I mean, like, we've already covered the topic that's on Kira's face and also on my face. So if you want to see those videos, be sure to click them.
There you go.
All right.
And with that, we will see you guys in the next episode.
See you next time.